Hello, my name's Jennifer, and
Matt.
and we are avid WWE fans. I, in fact, have been watching since the earliest I can remember is WrestleMania 3 with Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan.
Unfortunately, I wasn't rich enough to watch all of them, so we used to rent them at the store and rewatch. I've been watching wrestling a long time too.
All right, so WrestleManias we've been watching forever, and we'd like to give you our opinion on this year's WrestleMania 27.
We saw some kid do it, so we thought we'd give our opinion too.
Let's jump on the bandwagon, shall we?
Word.
Okay.
Match 1, Edge versus Alberto Del Rio.
I have to say this. I'm not a huge fan of Alberto Del Rio. However, I do appreciate the fact that he is a wrestling finesse. Like, he really knows his stuff. He knows how to move and connect with other people's actions.
I think that he's a good wrestler. He comes from the Mexican tradition where they're all about technique and style. I actually really enjoyed the match. I thought that he did a really good job. I don't get what's up with all the arm breakers. He had like 4 or 5 of them, but I do enjoy the move that he does to get into them. The highlight of the match for me was how Christian got involved in the outside and really interfered without interfering, so got the other guys out.
I was appreciative of the fact that someone on the outside, a manager like Jimmy Hart-esque, was able to take care of outside interference in a way that other people haven't been able to do since then. He was able to kind of make it a non-outside interference action and make it entertaining and then some. So I'm really appreciative of everything he did.
I agree with that. And I have to give it up for Alberto Del Rio's athleticism. After his second arm breaker, he does a move where he steps on the second rope and he kicks Edge right in the back of the head.
It was amazing.
That's amazing.
The sound effect, the action, the entire follow through was completely on point.
I thought that they told a good story and they did the dance right.
Agreed. I'm totally there.
Second match, Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio. First off, Rey Mysterio's outfit was dope.
I really feel like with the new Mexican wrestler coming in that they've been advertising a lot, that Rey may feel a little bit violated on his style and his athleticism. And I have to say that he was really on point tonight. And the fact of this, Cody Rhodes started out with Ted DiBiase Jr. And you really thought for myself that Ted DiBiase would be the one push for the WWE. And it was Cody Rhodes. And he's really made a big transition into a single athlete and competitor with the way he's presented himself and kind of his aggressiveness during matches. And the way I have to say, per se, he is really, really on point with his wrestling skills, and then some.
I really have to agree with that. I think that their match itself was a really good ballet where they played off of each other. Their skills were well timed. You could tell that they spent a lot of time on this, and that all of their moves were choreographed very well, and it looked like it flowed. And I have to say about Cody Rhodes, once he went out for that facial injury and he came back, to me it looks like he's put on about 10 pounds of muscle. His technique has really improved, and I think that he's really trying to step his game up. And like Jen said about him breaking away from Ted DiBiase Jr., he stepped his game up where Ted DiBiase's faded in the background. And I have to say that I appreciate who he is. He doesn't need to talk on the mic with the lisp and everything, but all in all, I think the match was actually really good. Not the best match, because I think that so far Edge had the best match, but definitely up there. It was a good match.
Right, not the best match, but surprising in the fact of I thought it would be a fluff match, and it really wasn't.
Yeah.
It really surprised me and kept my attention the whole way through.
Totally agree. Next, we had the Big Show, Kane and Santino, with Kofi Kingston coming in late because Kozlov was jumped by the core.
Right. Let me say this at the beginning. I love the Big Show's main music. I love the Big Show, period. I saw him on the Kids' Choice Awards last night. I think he's a very likable guy all around. And the fact that they play his music and then Kane's music comes in, my opinion on Kane that I've had for a long time is that his style and his whole persona needs to be revamped or he needs to be ushered out. And they're really trying to push any kind of storyline they can with him. And to me, it's not working. The Big Show's big. The core kind of sucks because all of them just came into the fray. And to me, the match was just, as our predecessor, the young man, who I don't know his name said, was a dud. It totally was a dud.
Totally fluff. I totally agree. The match was fluff. I have to say though, whenever I see the big dude come in, Ezekiel Jackson, he
Mm-hmm.
reminds me a lot of Ahmed Johnson, except a
Yes.
lot bigger.
The Pearl Over Plunge.
And I just wish that he'd do more and actually maybe even be out on his own. Because whenever he's in there with Wendy, or as I like to call him, Macy from Teen Mom 2, and he's with that South African
The red
dude,
hair.
I don't get it. They don't belong there. As a matter of fact, no tag team really seems to have a place in the WWE anymore.
Right, we've been talking for weeks about how old school WWE, Demolition, and the Road Warriors, and Strike Force, and the Rockers. The WWE hasn't had a really great tag team since, I'm going to say like 10 years ago. The last great one were the Hardy Boys. And since then, it's
It's
really
been
not
crap.
it's really not kind of like linked up for them.
Nobody can even hold on to anything. They keep linking people up who don't even belong together. So,
Right.
all in all, I think that was probably one of the worst matches of the night,
Agreed.
especially the quickness of it. If you want to see some people come in there, let the Big Show come in and run three of those guys. Or
Make it believable.
make the Big Show and Kane come in and take all four of them. Santino's fluff, I appreciate his comedic style.
You
I
have
love
to.
it. I love it.
You have
But,
to.
Kofi Kingston, everybody likes to see someone jump real high. I like Kofi, seems happy. And individually, I like all of them. But as a group, I thought it was just, who can we put together to go in here and fill up some time? Where I
To
think that
fill
they
in
could
the
have put
Money in the
in.
Bank match
Yeah,
of
yeah.
late.
Which they should have put in.
Agreed. The fourth match was Randy Orton versus CM Punk, and I'm going to be straight up with you. I was checking my Facebook and my Hotmail and everything else in between, not because I thought it was a bad match, but because I think Randy Orton was offered a low standard match compared to what his athletic ability kind of puts him up to. His prowess really equals up to a lot more. He should have been in a main event match. The storylines didn't really go with the fact of what I thought they should have. He really has an accurate wrestling ability that I've not seen in a long time. He
Absolutely.
is always on point.
He's at the top of the game because he is the top of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that most wrestlers in there don't hold a candle to his technique
Mm-hmm.
and his understanding of how wrestling's supposed to be. The only person I think that understands the legacy of it is Triple H. And Randy Orton, I was disappointed that he came in under the precognition that he's injured. That's obviously going to take away from a match. And CM Punk, I mean, put your butter teeth away. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the big bags under your eyes after you get done wrestling for 2 minutes.
Nobody wants to see you doing the Indian style sitting position, singing Kumbaya, my lord. Like, nobody cares. Just get out there and do your thing. After you beat up Jeff Hardy for like 6 months on end, nobody wants to see you being the bad guy anymore. Maybe change it up. Be the baby face for a while.
Yeah.
Be the good guy.
Drop the Jesus Christ superstar image.
Agreed.
I mean, you are not our savior. Nobody cares about you. You're fluff. I appreciate that, you have a martial arts background, if that's true or not. It might be just kayfabe. But, if that's the case, roll with something like that. Go back to those guys that you used to hang out with, because this whole, I'm really tough bad guy, it doesn't work.
Especially because the fact you have new tattoos every time I see you. So if you're playing the part of somebody, like kayfabe goes not only when you go out to a bar at night, but when you go to the tattoo parlor, on a Saturday morning / evening.
I will have to say that the fake RKO, I liked it.
Yeah.
It kind of perked my interest.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it, like maybe 2 minutes later he hit the actual real one, which I appreciate the RKO because it can come out of nowhere.
Exactly.
And it fits the Viper persona that Randy Orton goes with
to a perfection. Like it doesn't miss a beat. There's no staccato-ness in the matches that Randy Orton is a part of. It's very fluent. And when the RKO hits, it's kind of just like, it's like the climax that you're waiting for, that a lot of matches don't have nowadays.
I agree. Next match, Jerry the King Lawler versus Michael Cole.
Oh my god.
Piece of crap.
Oh my god. It's like, I'll tell you this. Like, whoever the Raw general manager is needs to be like bitch slapped. For real. I am so sick of hearing anything that has to do with that. And I'm one of a million in this. Jerry the King Lawler was his first WrestleMania match, and he's been in the business for so many years as an actual athlete, not an announcer. Should have won the match, should have been able to beat Michael Cole's ass the entire time, and that should have been the end of it.
Michael Cole should have looked like Jesus in Passion of the Christ the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive the blasphemy, but he
No,
should have got his ass whipped the entire time it was on
completely.
there. And I also think that maybe the stunner should have been thrown in on Michael Cole. I'm glad it was thrown in on Jack Swagger. And at the very end of the match, I'm actually glad it was thrown in after the Spinneroonie happened on Booker T because he didn't have a place in that ring either.
Right. I mean, Stone Cold coming out, the stunner's coming, which is one of the best finishing moves in the wrestling business. I mean, you can think back as far as Hulk Hogan to Bret Hart to everyone that has had the ultimate finishing move. And Stone Cold, you can't expect to see him inside of a WWE ring without the stunner happening.
Number one stunner.
Exactly. So, match 6, the well anticipated, get you on the edge of your seat. I really hope it's like Shawn Michaels' first match with Undertaker in WrestleMania 25, Undertaker versus Triple H. Neither of them have wrestled in over a year to our eyes. And I have to say that I know it was a bunch of finishing moves. I know it was a lot of and intense kind of aggressiveness that occurred with everything. But to me, it was kind of lackluster. There was no really, when you think of a story, there's a beginning, there's middle, and an end. And I feel like this one started at the beginning of the end and just kind of raced to the end the entire time.
I felt like they were trying to go throughout the whole match being like, I'm strong. I can hurt you more. And it seemed like it was more a staccato match. There was no flow to it. It was like, I'm going to hurt you real bad. We're going to lay and breathe for a while. I'm going to hurt you real bad. We're going to lay and breathe for a little while. And I don't like those kind of matches, even though I do appreciate the power game that a lot of wrestlers come in with. When it comes to Triple H, he knows the business. He knows the history. He knows all the wrestling moves. He takes all the greats moves and incorporates them into his own style. And most matches that he's in, he flows. There is a flow to his match, and The Undertaker has it too. They've been in the business long enough. They should have known how to tell a better story with their match. I was expecting a really precise dance between them that incorporated, some of the power game, but I thought that they'd really, pull in some of the bigger moves. Like, where was Triple H's high knee? Didn't see it once.
I think the problem with any Undertaker match that happens in a WrestleMania is that we all saw WrestleMania 25, and we saw the actual, well anticipated, well received beauty of the match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. That match was the best match that I've seen since I've ever watched any wrestling. And I'll tell you this, I know my wrestling. That match from beginning till end had me gasping. I was jumping, arms in the air. There was a room full of people, and the anticipation from beginning to end. I think that would have been the precise match for The Undertaker to lose. And I know that he probably can't lose until he gets to 20. And maybe the 21st match will be when he passes the torch to the next guy that becomes like the streak guy. But I'll tell you this, that match would have been his ultimate match to lose at because it was absolutely beautiful. It was a work of art.
I agree. So this match to me, even when it came down to the submission at the end, all right, you held him for 5 minutes, and he was almost out of breath, and he lightly tapped at the end. I expected more. I expected more of a blockbuster match with all the hype and all the build-up, especially with them being gone for so long, and then the whole promo with the lightning and the Johnny Cash song, and I'm coming out the door of this old shack. Like, we're outlaws. Be an outlaw.
I have to say this. No WrestleMania match should ever end in a submission. This should be like a beat you to the end of consciousness kind of main event. I mean, this has been marketed as the main event of wrestling, the most anticipated sports event that we've ever seen in our lives. And nobody wants to see somebody tap themselves out instead of seeing a ref do it. So
Lackluster, disappointed. Shouldn't have been hyped up as much as it was if it wasn't going to meet it. Edge's match was far better.
yes. And the only plus to this is that the show will go on for the both of them.
That's right.
Instead of something ending.
So next match was Snooki, Trish Stratus, John Morrison versus Lay Cool and Dolph Ziggler.
Can I just say this? Let's just pass. Let's just pass it.
Next.
Snooki, we loved the Jersey Shore. You're one of my favorite characters on the show. It's just not anything to talk about.
Terrible match, except Snooki did do a back handspring, which I was impressed with.
A round-off back handspring.
Yeah. Rest of the match was crap. All you saw was Trish Stratus's butt crack. And who cared?
Exactly. I know guys are like watching this sometimes, like in the girls' matches to see their stuff. But like, when your ass crack is hanging out, it just means you need a bigger size pants. Moving on.
Next.